All right, Mr. Taliaferro, how's everybody doing out there? First off, I want to congratulate the Milwaukee Bucks on what to me was a great season for them. I mean, being the number one team in the Eastern Conference, they were pretty much the number one team in the NBA throughout the entire season, man. They got to the playoffs. They had a big-time win in the first round against the Pistons. They literally swept them off the court. And then the shocker of the playoffs to me, not that they beat the Boston Celtics, but to beat the Celtics in 5 games and pretty much dominate 4 straight games, I think was super impressive. They got into the conference finals, won the first 2 games. A lot of people already started to write them on that ballot to have a matchup against the Warriors, but let's call a spade a spade. The Toronto Raptors head coach, Nick Nurse, after game 2, decided to exclusively put his guy, Kawhi Leonard, on Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that was the difference in this series. I know we're going to bash Giannis today. I know he deserves his share of criticism. He's the MVP to be. He's great. He says he wants to be the best player in the game and all that great stuff that comes with that. Here's the reality of the situation. With being the best or in that conversation, you get criticized. I know he's only 24, but because his game had progressed so much and he had started to talk the talk and walk the walk, he deserves criticism. I already criticized him a video or 2 ago. He got exposed, but I will be fair to Giannis in this regard. He did go up against a guy that I'd say since a Ron Artest or a Tony Allen, to me, is one of the best defenders in the NBA. Like, Kawhi Leonard is no joke defensively. Many people will put him over Ron Artest and a Tony Allen. I don't know if I go that far, but Kawhi Leonard, he's in that conversation with the Scottie Pippins of the world. Homie can defend at an elite level. He pay attention to detail like few do in this league. All right, just give Kawhi his credit. You don't got to bash Giannis by bigging up Kawhi. That was a lot to do with it. You stuck Kawhi to Giannis like glue, and that was all she wrote. The Bucks didn't win another game in the series. Now, as great a season the Milwaukee Bucks had, they do have some big-time decisions that are coming up, right? Like, they got 4 of their premier guys that are free agents to be. Nikolai Mirotic was a guy that they acquired, and he really put in work. He's a guy that can space the floor. When you got a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, until Giannis' game progresses at the three-point line, right? Until Giannis backs his game up more than from being around the rim, you need guys like Mirotic that space the floor, allow Giannis to work, and get those nice little 2 steps and he's at the rim. You need shooters on the court so they just don't clog the lane up, right? So Mirotic, having him around is decently important. Another guy, Brook Lopez. I mean, the guy won you a game against the Boston Celtics, and then he turned around and won you game 1. What did he put up? 28, 29 points against the Toronto Raptors in game 1 of the conference finals. You had him on a steal. What was he making, $2-3 million a year? He's going to get more money than that. Now, I don't think Brook Lopez is going to try to break the bank at this point in his life. I think he likes playing in Milwaukee and that culture, and I think he believes in Giannis, his guy, right? So I don't think he's going to go get $20 million a year. But do I see it possible that Brook Lopez could go get a 3-year deal for $10 million a year? I think that probably will happen, $10 to $15 million. I think he'll get that somewhere, and I don't know if the Bucks are willing to pay that. Malcolm Brogdon, he's an X factor. Let's actually leave Brogdon. Let's go to Chris Middleton real quick. Chris Middleton is an all-star. Chris Middleton is this Milwaukee Bucks Klay Thompson. You got to keep him. I don't care what you got to pay. You got to figure that out. You got to keep Chris Middleton. Shooters of that magnitude don't come around too often. And again, just like I said with Mirotic, until Giannis backs his game up and becomes more of a perimeter guy, down the stretch, you need Chris Middleton. I know he struggled a little bit versus the Raptors, but he's one of the guys that can make late game shots for them. And also Malcolm Brogdon can, but I think Malcolm Brogdon will be the odd man out. You can't pay everybody. Brogdon got injured towards the end of the regular season. That might have cost him a contract. I'll get to you that why after I read this quote from Giannis Antetokounmpo. So Giannis recently did an interview when he was asked about keeping this core together. Who would he keep? Who would he not keep? You know, he knows the Bucks don't have the money to keep everybody, but this is Giannis' response in an interview that he did in the last 24 hours. He said, obviously I want everyone back. We had a great freaking team. Unselfish players that play basketball the right way. They're winners. We had a great atmosphere. We didn't have no, I want to be polite here, I want to say the A word, but we didn't have no butt here. So he said we didn't have any asses on the team. Obviously, I want everyone back. I'm going to let my teammates know that. So again, obviously Giannis being the great teammate that he is, he wants everyone back, right? Obviously, as it should be. He wants as most talent as he can to try to go win a championship next year. So they're not going to be able to keep everybody. And Giannis internally knows that. You're going to lose a guy too. I believe it'll be Brogdon. And here's why. Eric Bledsoe did something really sneaky at the end of the regular season. It's almost like Bledsoe knew he was scamming the Milwaukee Bucks, right? So for those who don't know, Bledsoe signed, a 4-year, $74 million deal. Bledsoe got paid, all right? Dude got paid. Let me just put that out there like that. But he signed that contract at a time where you don't see a lot of teams offer contracts to guys with free agency looming. He signed his deal right before the end of the regular season. And don't think that was an accident. Don't think that wasn't by design. Somebody was in Eric Bledsoe's ear, maybe his agent, his management, whatever, LeBron and company, Rich Paul and them. Somebody was like, yo, the money's going to dry up here in Milwaukee quickly. Let's say you go in the playoffs and don't play great, as we know Eric Bledsoe was notoriously known for doing even before this playoff run. Don't cancel yourself out. So maybe let's say Eric Bledsoe would have won in this playoffs and led the Bucks to a championship. Yes, Bledsoe could have probably got more money than what he got, but Bledsoe and his team didn't want to bank on that. And it worked out for them. He signed that 4-year deal right before the playoffs. And to me, that was a bad decision for the Bucks. But they're looking at it like, what if we win a championship, right? Then Eric Bledsoe could cash the bank. We want to keep our guy. So both the team and the player met in the middle. They're like, okay, what if you outperform this contract or what if you underperform the contract? So we're going to meet in the middle, sign a deal before the end of the regular season. Well, Bledsoe didn't look great to me. And to be honest with you, when it becomes a half-court game, to me, he didn't seem to play off of Giannis well. I think Giannis needs a shooter at that point guard spot. Eric Bledsoe's not known to be a shooter. Giannis is already struggling to find his jumper. Now add Eric Bledsoe and his woes from the perimeter. Damn, there's nowhere for me to go. I can't do that. As a basketball team, I need one of these guys to be able to shoot until the other guy learns how to shoot. And Giannis is my franchise player, so I'm taking more time with Giannis over Eric Bledsoe. But the Bucks already paid him. And that's probably going to cost them. Unless they can trade Eric Bledsoe, they will lose Malcolm Brogdon. And to me, Malcolm Brogdon has a little more heart than Eric Bledsoe. His game's a little more compatible with Giannis, but he's not a point guard. But I think his game's a little more compatible. I'd rather have given that money that they gave Bledsoe to Brogdon, turned him into a point guard, made him learn how to dribble the ball, or I went and got a point guard that was on the market that was for cheap but could shoot. I'd rather do that than to now be stuck with Eric Bledsoe and now probably lose. You're probably going to lose Brogdon and Mirotic. Definitely one of the two, probably both. I would think what the Bucks end up doing is keeping Brook Lopez, keeping Chris Middleton. You're going to pretty much have to max him out. Middleton can get max money from somewhere this summer. So what'll end up happening is you'll be stuck with Giannis, Middleton, and Lopez. And maybe Mirotic will say, money is okay, but I like what I got here in Milwaukee. Take a discount. I doubt it. So you'll probably lose Mirotic and Brogdon. I hate that, but that's probably the situation here. Eric Bledsoe, that was a very smart move by his team. His team literally banked on him not performing in the playoffs, and it worked out because he didn't perform up to that contract in the playoffs, and now the Bucks are stuck with him as they try to figure this Giannis jump shot out. We'll see what happens. I thank you guys so much for the time, love, support. If you had to pick 2 out of the 4 guys, so we'll pick from 2 crops here, right? Like you could pick either Brogdon or Bledsoe, and you could pair them up with we'll say they signed Middleton, right? Let's just say they signed Middleton. We're going to use that as they got to sign Middleton. But if you could pick between Brogdon or Bledsoe and pair them up with Lopez or Mirotic, which combination of those 2 would you pick? Talk to me, comment box below. I came from nothing, but I want everything God has for me. I interview celebrities. I talk sports. I still represent the culture.
Got the kids, they are now tuned in.
Yo, we locked in right now, Mr.
Taliaferro.
Mr. Taliaferro.
Shout out to Mr. Taliaferro.
You're watching Mr. Taliaferro TV.
Mr. Taliaferro TV. Here with the triple B's. You can't do nothing but win.